start with the home buying process. Here's some questions that you should start with when you're thinking about getting into the home buying process. And the first one is, what kind of home do you want or do you need? Next, think about, where do you want to live? And then this is key because people aren't very realistic with it, but how long do you expect to live in your first house? What don't you like about where you're currently living? Now, it may seem obvious, but take a good look at your lifestyle. If you entertain a lot, find a house that meets those needs. Do you work from home? Are you a gardener? Make sure you take those things into account when you're choosing your new house. All right, you've gotten pre-approved and you've hired your real estate agent, so you're ready to start looking. Make sure to take notes on each house. If you've got a digital camera, take it along. Take pictures so you can go back home and be able to distinguish each house from each other. When you look at multiple houses, aspects of one may run together on you. You may think the house with the kitchen you love is the same one with the master bedroom you want, when in reality they are two different houses. Doing this will help you to keep the houses separate. When you do find one you like, have your agent do research on what they think the house is worth and get a range at least, and if they know anything that could help you in your negotiation. You know, a house that's been on the market 4 weeks or more has a different negotiation strategy than one that's been on the market for 2 days. The negotiation is critical, and since you're a home buyer, your total cash outlay is extremely important. So it might be in your best interest to negotiate for the seller to pay some of, if not all of, your closing costs and prepaids. Remember back that there's not much difference for each in monthly payment for each thousand that you finance, and it's much better to keep that cash in your pocket as opposed to expending it. Once you're ready to make an offer, you and your real estate agent will formulate the contract and the offer. Make sure you ask for everything you want to ask for, because it's next to impossible to add things after you've begun negotiations. Now, normally you'll have to submit an earnest money check deposit, and that proves you're a serious buyer. This amount usually starts at $500 and can go up depending on the circumstance of the negotiations. If you're buying a brand new construction, expect that number to be quite a bit higher. This money is something that can be lost if you were to walk away from the contract without legal reason. Most contracts have some reasons to get out of it, and things like an appraisal contingency if the appraisal value comes in low, or an inspection contingency, so if your inspection uncovers problems with the house that either the seller can or won't fix or you're not comfortable with, that gives you a potential out. Talk with your real estate agent about giving you sufficient protection so you can get out of the deal if there's something wrong with the house. So your contract offer is accepted now. You make sure your real estate agent forwards that information to your lender, orders a home inspection, and opens escrow with the title company. Now, this is my opinion, but you should always have a home inspection done, including a termite inspection. If you can't afford to have one done, then you know what? Maybe you shouldn't buy a house right now. We even think that if you're buying new construction, you should have an inspector check it at different intervals during the building process to make sure your building isn't cutting corners. This is a little bit more expensive, but folks, if you've got someone watching that for you, they'll probably help you to avoid lots of problems that will cost you a heck of a lot more than the additional cost of an inspector. Next thing you do, you call your homeowner's insurance agent and give them the details of your contract, and you get any updated financial information that your lender might need at that time. If you're going to use movers, now's a great time to schedule them, or if you're going to move yourself and will need a truck, now's the best time to reserve a truck for the day you're planning on moving. If you wait, the chances are you won't be able to find a truck or movers. Now, the lender is going to trigger the appraisal. In our office, we like to wait until the inspection is done before ordering the appraisal, just in case there's a problem with the property. Because once the appraisal is completed, the lender will submit your file for approval. If the underwriter needs anything that the lender didn't get them originally, the lender will handle that with you. And the next phase is the final approval. And once the final approval is there, then they schedule the closing, and the closing is where you'll sign your final documents. The closing involves a few things. The lender is going to send the final figures to the title company, so the title company can prepare the final settlement statement. We call it in the industry a HUD, and that's where all the total costs are put into the proper places. Any money you have paid is reflected on this document, and the bottom line is this document tells you how much money you need to bring to the closing table. Now, lenders try to get these numbers to you a day or two before the closing, but inevitably it seems to be the day of closing before you get your final number. The amount you have to bring to closing needs to come in the form of a cashier's check made out to the title company or you can make arrangements to wire the funds from your account to the title company's account. At the closing, which is where the documents are signed, the closer from the title company will go over all the numbers on the settlement statement on the HUD, and we'll have all the loan documents as well as any other legal documents that you'll need to sign. Now, as a lender, we normally go to the closing, and that's to make sure everything is like you expected and to help you understand any documents that you don't quite understand. It's been told to us that we're one of very few lenders that attend closings. We just feel that it's very important. I mean, this is the final part of the biggest and most important investment you're making in your life at this point in time. So I think it's important for us to be there to help you remain comfortable with the situation. Now, once the closing is done, all the documents are signed, the title company has the money from the lender, the deed of trust is recorded at the courthouse. Now, the deed of trust, this is a document that shows that you're now the owner of the property. It lists the lender the lender or lenders that also have an interest in your property. Once that deed of trust is recorded at the courthouse and the loan is fully funded, you are now officially a homeowner. Now, normally your first payment would be the first day of the second month after closing. For instance, if you closed on a May 25th, your first payment wouldn't be due until July 1st. And that's because with a mortgage, you pay your interest in arrears, so the payment you'll make on July 1 pays the interest that accrued during June. It's different than when you rent. When you rent, you pay your rent at the first of the month, so if you pay January 1, that pays for January. So that tries to explain the process that you'll go through for the home buying process. If you have any other specific questions on that, we'd be happy to answer those for you.